Well, man, it's nice to meet you. Wonderful album. It's great to catch up. Thanks for taking a minute out for the show.
Thanks so much, Joe. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into the new album, I want to know the last 3.5 years really did its thing on the community of everyone, but artists especially. How did you make it through it, and how has it changed you now that we're kind of reemerging, new albums, live shows?
Well, I'm guessing you're talking about the pandemic time, right?
But yeah,
Was very was challenging. Was complicated. Everybody has to relearn a lot of things and go with the flow. No one exactly knew what was going on. I remember in the beginning, I think was kind of relieving because I was very busy. What
yeah.
was great. But I was like, I can take 40 days break. Remember that time that we thought pandemic could be 40 days only? Like, great, and
Yeah.
then was not, and we all get very worried. Um, Beyond all the complications, all the people dying and everything. But for me, it was a time that I get very introspective. Uh, Being here in the United States, and I do not have family here. So be worried about them, be worried about myself and other people around. And uh but it was a time that I was able to develop some things that uh I didn't develop that much. One of them was like uh composition, and this was very good for me. It was a very productive in a creative way for me, the pandemic, because I had a lot of time to do those kind of things. Uh but then after that, things were catching up little by little, and I was ready to record an album. I think after that, I stay at home practicing a lot and composing a lot. I felt, oh, now it's time to try the first debut album. Uh, so it's a process that takes some time to happen, but I felt confident enough and the desire to do this. I was like, I have a message to transmit. I have a lot of time to think and think musically speaking. I want to take a picture of this moment. I want people to see this moment of my life and how I get here so far.
Yeah. So what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
I hope they get uh to experience a little bit what I experience. uh I am an immigrant from Brazil. I came here to do my master degree, and here to USA, I mean, to do my master degree. And I think the immigration experience is a very unique experience, and I had the experience of immigration by choice, not by. I'm not a refugee. I am not running from nothing. I came here to study. Uh, so it is a particular experience, and I think we in our lifespan we don't have time to experience a lot of things. So that's why I always fascinated with movies or books and stories. We all like stories, right? So we put ourselves in other people's shoes and experience a little what they are experiencing. So I hope the listeners have a little bit of the feeling that I had of leaving Brazil to come here to USA, this immigration experience, without necessarily have to pass through this experience. And I think to putting yourself in other people's shoes made you more sympathetic towards other people.
Yeah.
So I think we can. I would be happy if someone get a little more sympathetic towards this immigration people, uh, because of the album, or at least experience a little bit how strong it is. This feeling of like, okay, I'm gonna leave things behind to have other things, other opportunity, other experiences.
It's interesting, I come from immigrants, all of my ancestors came from Italy to Ellis Island. that's been the tapestry of this country, and unfortunately, it has turned into really bad rhetoric. And I don't know why. We know why, but it's just unfortunate that we have, because no one's truly American. No one's 100% true American. I mean, unless you're talking about Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
We are all coming from different shores, different regions, and it needs to be celebrated. So my point saying that is that I think it's essential and wonderful that that's still being put out there, because people need to understand that everybody's coming here because it's a land of opportunity. It's not a land of refuge. I mean, it is for some people, but I think that there's a level of opportunity, which is exactly what you're doing and what most people do when they come here. They're looking for different opportunities that their land didn't give them, and we need to celebrate that. And unfortunately, in 2023, I would have never thought that it would become an issue that would be so divisive as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No, definitely. Yeah, it is challenging time for sure. Uh Things are not easy, and when things are not easy, we tend to look towards ourselves more.
yeah,
Uh but I think, like you said, I think this a friend said to me, and I agree. Uh I think immigrants change the face of America for better. We, like you said, we are all immigrants, including like in the whole America, basically. If you are not a Native American, North, South, and Central, you are basically you have a little bit of immigrant in you,
yeah.
right? Uh, so I think this sense of like be sympathetic towards other people is a good thing. And what concerns me a little more when we were in the pandemic mostly, because we are so isolated. Uh, I really believe like the individual and the individualism blooms and flourish better when we are in a collective setting. You know, I think that's what I like most about like uh being here. I think I'm in a very privileged community that is the jazz community in Chicago. I think they are very open and very embracing. So it has a nice community environment. So I think this is very good, and this definitely reflects in my album for sure. All the influence that I got from this.
The one thing that's beautiful about jazz is that it's this a lot of it, I mean, it came from Africa, but a lot of this was refined and kind of created in America. And the reach and getting to you in Brazil. Talk to me a little bit about your beginnings of how you fell in love with the bass and subsequently got into jazz.
Well, I come from a family that is not a music family. No one is musicians. Uh, but my cousins from my age, one of them was playing drums, another one was playing guitar, and they need a bass player. That's how everything started with me. Like I started straight up in the bass when I was 12. Uh, so when I did this, when I decided that I want to play bass, and I asked for my parents to buy a bass for me. In Brazil, music education is not mandatory in schools. So my parents knew that music would be good for me. It doesn't matter if I would be a musician or not. So they're like, okay, we buy you an instrument, but we would like you to go to stud to have a teacher. And said, okay. So that's how I started to study bass and study music. So I started like a quote unquote formal education since the beginning. Uh, and my parents always have great taste for music. They always went to see the symphonic orchestra or to see jazz concerts, and I went with them, and I always loved. So that's how I started, and then I did my undergrad in Brazil as well. I knew that I would be a musician when I was 16 already. Like I was already decided. Uh, my parents didn't like much, but then they accepted and they support as much as they could. Uh, And on that time, I remember hearing about uh, jazz and getting involved with it when I was around 15, 16. Uh, I remember, I think first song that I played on bass was "So What" of Miles Davis.
Mhm.
Was is enough to play the melody in the bass, but at the same time, I didn't understand how deep it was. I was like, "Oh, this is one chord, and then another chord have step up." I didn't understand how profound was the modal jazz on that time,
Yeah.
but for me, it was something easy to start with. So I remember playing a lot that song and trying a lot. Uh, on the time we didn't have Spotify yet. I'm not that old, but like Spotify, those kind of things, or other platforms of digital music was not a thing. So I didn't have the kind of blue with me. I had another albums. I had some Brazilian jazz albums, and I would see some Brazilian jazz groups, and I fell in love very quickly. Aside, I would play some rock and roll with my cousins, but for study, because I was always studying and have a teacher, I would study jazz and Brazilian music. So yeah, that's how I fell in love. Like was really playing it.
Yeah. So what was the first live jazz show you ever saw that blew you away?
Mm. The first one, I don't know if it's the first one. I think it is one of the first at least. It's the oldest memory that I have. I remember watching. First of all, I watched Filó Machado playing. He's a guitar player.
Yeah.
My father uh said to me, "Hey, this guy is playing. Is here by the side of our house, 2 blocks. Let's go." And it was only him and a singer. And I remember I could not go into the venue without the supervision of my father. So I went there. I was like, "What? What is this?" I was very impressive, like how he could sing and swing, only him and the guitar. Uh, and sometimes the other singer would sing and he would do like some percussion with his voice. I was like mesmerized. It was just a duet and was like, I got out like, what? I didn't even know this was possible. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Was it always a dream of yours to come to America to study, to play, to kind of further your career?
Yeah, it was. It was when I was in my undergrad, I was like, huh, I would like uh to study there. Uh First of all, a master degree in performance, that was my master degree. I think it was not a thing in Brazil on that time. I think now it does exist, but on that time it didn't. And more of this, the master degree itself was a excuse to come here and learn jazz. Not that I didn't know nothing about jazz or didn't play it. Brazil is very fortunate. This I think like there is amazing Brazilian jazz players, and but academically speaking, there is a difference. Like I think the first undergrad that happened here in USA, it is North Texas. I think it's around 1935. The
Yeah.
first, the first like popular music that would be our jazz degree in Brazil that came up was 1990. So even like the academic production, it is most in English in my time. I was in my undergrad in 2008. I started. So you have to learn to know English to have access to some things. Now things are even out. Now time is passing. There is more and more academic productions in Portuguese in Brazil. But it is a big gap, a big difference. And I wish to learn and to know how American people learn jazz itself. And more than this, someone did this analogy for me, and I think it is correct. It's like when you are not in the place, there is some things that got missed. It's like uh, NASA looking to Mars through a telescope, or NASA sending people there to stand there, or a robot to be there and like be there, you know. And the same thing goes for jazz. Like there is this sense of community, there is this sense of like why people are here and how people are here. That is even like how you behave, sometimes how you dress up. As sometimes that is even like music is involved with food and traditional and dance. So all those kind of things get washed out only through a recording, and you only can read it about and don't see it and don't experience. So I think this was one of my biggest like wishes. Like, how does it how is there and how would that affect my playing and my view towards this song, this kind of music?
So let me ask you this on a musician level, you know, you're a musician, composer, arranger. What is it that you look forward to the most being a professional musician? What do you like the best about the process?
Huh. I like, well, as a composer and an arranger, I like how people around me bring music to life and in a better way than I thought. When I do an arrangement, I was like, oh, this I think will sound cool. And then when I play with them, like, oh, I didn't thought this would sound that cool.
Yeah.
Like I think to have this exchange and realizing other people musicality always makes my musicality better, you know? Like I wrote something for the saxophone and then when he plays like better than I imagined, thank you, you know, most of the time. So I like this exchange between us. You know, it's something that I can do by myself, but I don't want to. And doing by myself is not as rich as it is doing with other people. And I like how we can exchange ideas, musical ideas in the fly. You know, we are playing and then someone do a musical idea, the other one buy this music idea and develop. So I think this sense of collectiveness and exchange is things that always bring me joy. Like, it's worth to be doing. Nice.
Yeah. So you've come a long way from your homeland to pursue this career and to learn more. What was it like when you got on the stage the first time to play live in America? What was that feeling like?
Oh, was tense. Definitely was very tense. But I was very happy to be here. I was very grateful and I kid you not, like I thought about, well, my album is called Farewell. I thought about all the farewells that I have to say to
Yeah.
be there in the moment, you know, all the things that I paid to be there, but not like only money speak, like emotionally speak, all the never be there in Brazil, for example, to be in that stage and that moment, like doing that, and like I'm happy with this choice,
Yeah.
you know.
So the one thing too about being in jazz is that you know you're entering something that doesn't have a lot of money. It's one of those musical art forms you do because you love it. So my question to you is, why do you love jazz? Why was this the path that you chose?
Uh, I think for me, uh, I I think has to be is related a little bit about how much you value money. Not that I don't like at all. I like it, but I like un, until a point that I don't want to think about it. You know, I don't need. I'm a simple person. I don't need a lot of stuff to make me happy. I think more the experience and the exchange makes me more happy and give me more meaning towards things. So uh, not that part is nice. It's not that's what I'm trying to say, but like uh those if I had to choose like have stuff or have people or have experience, definitely it's easy for me. It's a no brainer. Have people and have experience. Uh I saw there was a way that I could make a living. Uh maybe not be a billionaire, but like I could make a living and at the same time I could have like a lot of experience, could bring me a lot of joy and meaning for what I'm doing, more than only being a office, just filling up spreadsheets. Uh so I really don't know. I think for me it's mesmerizing who can do this, like who can do 40 hours a week in an office. It's mesmerizing for me. But I think for me, what it was very natural at the same time. You know, this was something that started for me when I was a kid, and I was like, I think this is the path. Why not? You know.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that's why I choose all of this.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, who I think I am? Hmm. Well, I think I am a Brazilian artist rooted in Chicago, rooted in USA, uh, that have the privilege to choose two places to call home. Um, but I want to say that I am someone that aggregates value to people, uh, that I bring something else for them, uh, beyond what is only necessary to be done. I think I hope to people see me someone more than someone that helps more than someone that complicated things and split up people or make people insecure or not happy. So I I think I'm someone that likes to be focused about what I'm doing. At the same time, music is my main source of joy. Sometimes it's my main source of stress, but I hope that I can, as a musician, as a professional, to release this stress from people that is working with me, and that together we can communicate something meaningful for other people that is seeing us, is watching us. I think I hope people to see me as an artist that with my art they will have a change inside of them. They will not leave the show in the same way they came into the show.
Right on. So the new album on Shifting Paradigm Records, Farewell. If anyone wants to pick it up, they want to learn about any live shows that you're putting on, anything more about you, where's the best place to go?
Well, I have all my social medias, Instagram, Facebook. I'm there as Marcel Bonfim, easy to find. I have my website, marcelbonfimmusic.com, because someone got the marcelbonfim.com for me. uh, and marcelbonfimmusic.com. And social medias. I think this is the best way to follow up.
I love it, Marcel. Thank you for your story, man. It's great to meet
Thank
you.
you so much.
Best of luck with everything.